for tonight, hopefully I'll finish it tonight. I think I should though, because I'm going to stay out here for a while, is to install the new wiring harness, loom, whatever you want to call it. When I got the car, it had boxes with brand new parts. The person who owned it before me was like buying bunches of stuff to restore it. Those parts didn't get installed, and the car just kind of sat, and it sat outside and got some water into the car, and this loom was in a cardboard box that got wet, and so some of the connectors are a little crusty. I mean, this is brand new, it's never been installed, so it kind of sucks that I can't just install it, but I also don't want to install it and be chasing down weird electrical problems that were due to bad connections. So I'm going to go through all of the connectors tonight, clean them out, and make sure that everything when it's installed is going to work properly. So you can see these two connectors. You see one of them is kind of yellow and rusty. So this is just like a really light surface rust on that connector. And I'll be able to clean those off with like a little wire brush. Just give it a quick little kind of a... See, the yellow was basically gone. So I just have to go through all the connections and like inspect them. And if I feel like it needs a little love, I'll give it to it. And that's basically what I'm doing tonight. I'm gonna get a pizza, drink some beer, clean up some wires. That is what I'm gonna do. It's actually not beer, it's stout. Once I get this one done, instead of tackling the other big main harness on the bench, I'm going to install this just to get something in the car. I didn't do much filming. I just kind of worked on. I did finish the wiring harness to, I don't know if you can see up there. See the wires right there? So I brought the wires. They come right through. I put a grommet there because I didn't want the wires to get cut. But the harness is in. The back harness is in. Got the little boop, boop, buttons on both doors. The wires ran across. Here's the wire for the interior light. If it all ran down, it runs down in there. The boot is wired also. Let me get my light in here. So I have the harness ran down in there. All along in there. The lights are tied up. And yeah, the harness is in. I have the harness coming to the boot lid. Pretty happy with how tonight went, so I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna go in. It's like what time is it? It's 9 o'clock. So I'm gonna go in, see my doggies. So hopefully I can get the front harness maybe done on Sunday and installed. And then I will kind of will have hit my goal that I wanted to get the car wired this weekend. So that'll be pretty exciting if I do that. It's 12:30 on Sunday. I'm getting a little bit of a late start, but it's Sunday. I'm gonna crack on with this and see how far I can get. Windshield wiper motor. Okay, so this is obviously the connectors for this up here. So this and this go together, and then this one will go to the windshield wiper motor. So if I had to guess, all of these connectors go into the cockpit. I think what I'll do is I'll take the old harness that I took out of the car and lay it on the ground beside this new one and just make sure that when the previous owner bought this harness, that it was the correct harness. The one I installed in the rear seemed to be fine. Everything plugged in, all the colors lined up and everything. Maybe these all go in there. What do these do? Flasher, flasher. Left turn. Maybe all of these go in there. Horn fuse, interior light. What's this one? This one is, these all say fuse on them. So they would go here to the little fuse box. And then this goes to voltage regulator. That makes sense. It's the voltage regulator and stuff right there. This is the flasher unit. We've got a ground. So it'll be kind of like that. And then we got generator, which would be over here. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so that's looking correct. And let me see if I can get another couple of blocks. If I can get some blocks and plug some colors to colors right here to see if I can get that connection done. I can always rob a block off the old harness. I was going to just lay this old harness out beside the new one and kind of compare. But this, to be honest, this old one is an absolute shit show. It's been chopped and spliced and new connectors, and I mean, it's like, I mean, where'd that come from? But like, it's just not, it's not good. I think I'll put this mess back in the box because it looks like it's gonna jump off the floor and strangle me. Day 3 is Monday, kind of morning. I'm gonna finish mounting this stuff up. I actually just ran to the hardware store. So what I'm also going to do today is take all these controls out of here, clean up this. There's a little bit of a bend in it. I'm gonna straighten it, and I'm gonna clean this, paint it, take the gauges. Well, obviously take the gauges out of it, clean up the gauges, make sure everything is all nice, clean up all the connections, and reassemble this stuff. I'll paint these first, mount these while it's drying. When they're dry, I'm jumping back and forth, I'll install them in the car, try to put that stuff all together, and I'll also put the speedometer and stuff in place, the speedo. This is how it all made sense to me. I was fighting with it yesterday because I didn't know if it was the correct harness, the Cooper S harness. And it was. So the difference in the harnesses is, what I could tell is the length of the wires for the voltage regulator. It's mounted in different locations. The Cooper S is back there. The Cooper is here. And when I first got my car, it was mounted out here. But the harness, as I showed you, was an absolute chopped up shit show. Once I figured out from the books that I have that the Cooper S one goes back here, then it kind of started to make sense when I routed everything in there and up here, and I moved the fuse box to the firewall versus the inner wing. There's still enough space to get a hose on here. It's very tight to come out here for the, I think that's the fresh air. So that still works. I still have access to this. I can still unplug the wires. I still unplug these wires. I have to get a cover for the fuse box just because it's there. But I mean, it comes pre-formed, so that helped laying it out. You know, there was a swoop in the wire and harness right here. And then there was a kind of a kick and a kick, and that fit in there. And then there was a kind of a U-bend in it right here that it dipped down and came through this hole here. So this gets grounded on, I'm pretty sure, in that threaded hole. The flasher unit gets mounted up here too. And this is for the brake switch, so that plugs into the brake pressure switch on the subframe. But I'm gonna clean up the backs of the gauges. See if I can kind of polish up the kind of pewter, the chrome rings and stuff on it. Clean those up as much as I can. All right, well, these are put back together. They're all cleaned up. I did take the temperature and the oil gauge apart, took the glass out, cleaned the glass, put it back together, cleaned the faces of them, put it back together. So now when I'm driving down the road at 120 miles an hour, which I don't even know if, I don't think this car can do that, but I'll be like, yeah, those gauges are real clean. Hopefully I'm going to finish up the wiring today. I have the car completely wired, but my car is a Cooper S, Mach 1 Cooper S, so the binnacle slightly different than the standard minis and stuff like that. So I do have this white thing that bolts to the bulkhead, but the Cooper S and Deluxe or Cooper, they have this metal thing. I may be wrong in this, but this is just what I've picked up from very brief research. This mounts in the car just like this. It bolts up to the bulkhead or to the firewall. The gauge sits in here. The speedometer gauge sits in here. The oil temp and temperature, the oil pressure and temperature gauges are in there on these sides. So they mount on this metal plate, and then this one goes over it. There's 4 holes for 4 screws, chrome screws that just screw this onto here. So that's how this trim works, and then you got the little switch on the bottom for the headlights. The one that I already had for my car, the original one, the plastic was completely perished. It's just, I mean, it's really bad. There was cracks in the face of it. It just, I mean, it's completely unusable. I'm gonna finish the wiring today. Well, not fully. I don't have the harnesses and stuff for the headlights and the winkers, the blinkers at the front. So that'll come after the engine and everything is in. But I have been waiting on stuff. I wanted to put the dash back together, and I was waiting on this little washer. This washer needed to be replaced on the pipe on the back of this. I didn't want to put the binnacle on without this washer in, because then I was just gonna have to take it off again to put this in when it came in. And once I put that in, I'll be able to wire up my little switch. I got my switch mounted in there. Got my little wires here, so I'll plug that in, and then I'll be able to slot this lovely Cooper S Deluxe binnacle in place. Put the little screws in. Beautiful. And another thing I got was dip switch wire harness. I got a brand new one because the one I had was, I believe it was gnawed upon by some kind of a creature. And you know, this will be under the carpet, so I'll just put a brand new one in. Brand new, see, it says it right there. New. And it's made in England. What else do I got? These are the screws, the 4 screws for holding the binnacle on. These are the screws that'll hold that on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little nut off the back of this gauge, and I'm going to put the fiber washer in there, and I'm going to put it down and tighten it up. And then I'm going to wire the dip switch, and then I'll put this on. Plug these in, put it on. This is getting exciting. I know sometimes I don't smile, but that's just kind of who I am, so. Okay, let's try cracking at this. Oh, it's actually way more accessible than I thought it was. I thought I was going to have to contort. It is now disconnected. This is making somebody a millionaire, more than likely. You know, I'm sure they make a lot of them for these cars. Well, that's in there. I'm going to give it a little squeeze, and then that'll be that done. Then what do you want to do? That's good. That's the one. Don't go crazy with this. I mean, you don't want it to leak out on your feet when you're driving. It is oil. But I'm gonna give it one little squeeze, one last little squeeze. That's the cutest little fiber washer in the world installed. Let's see. So this one that goes to, it says flasher, it actually goes down to the lighting switch. I'm guessing what happens is this is pulling the thicker red one. This would make sense to me. The thicker red one is pulling power from here, from the switch, the lighting switch down here, and running it up to this switch And then that splits to two thinner wires, and that splits to the lighting on the inside of the dash. That's what I'm saying. That's what I think. And what I'm not is sure. We'll just plug it in and see what happens. But it kind of makes a little bit of sense, maybe. Don't break this binnacle. It was expensive. I don't want to be fighting with you. This is embarrassing, you know? I'm just trying to plug something in here, and my friends are all going to laugh at me on the internet. Oh, I went on it. Okay. So, hopefully now everything will just slip over everything. Ooh. And these aren't like, I mean, it's threaded. It is threaded, but it's not like a deep thread like a nut. This is just sheet metal that was bent, that was threaded for a screw. So, I mean, don't go fucking crazy with these, or you will not be happy when you strip something out. Beep beep. That looks really good. It looks right. It's got the 4 little screws in it. It's the correct binnacle for the Cooper S. The gauges look clean. The chrome cleaned up. Super nice. Very, very happy with this. All right, so the car is wired. It is fully wired. Rear harness, front harness. The binnacle, I was waiting on some stuff for the binnacle. That little washer that goes in the back of the oil pressure gauge, that's in. It's tightened up. I may need to take the binnacle cover off after I fire the car. If I try to fire the car and there's an issue, and maybe I need to check time wiring. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there's not. The last of the wiring that has to happen is there's a bunch of wires hanging in the engine bay, and therefore the generator and all the other like electrical components actually attached to the engine. So they're going to get wired once the engine goes in. My goal was fire and potentially drive this by Christmas. It is December 15th. Christmas is upon us. The holiday season, whatever one you celebrate. I will not be driving this by Christmas. The front subframe is done. I have restored it. There's some parts I need to paint, exhaust parts and stuff like that. It's not going to get done by Christmas. But I'm still very happy with my progress from pushing. Hopefully maybe between Christmas and New Year's, my dad's going to come down and we're going to get the engine in it and at least hear it run. Maybe see it move back and forth in the garage by itself. We'll see. You know, this is going to wrap up the electrical video. I'm still happy with how it turned out. It definitely it took too long. It didn't take too long. It took longer than I expected. But, you know, I wasn't fully working on it all the time, so